some knowledge. You learn more here than you would in college. We're the smartest radio station. We are the leaders in education. Is it truth? Is it lies? Kevin's the host. He's got beady eyes. Fact or fiction?
All right, going to educate you a bit on the Super Bowl and see how much you already know.
We're going to go perfect, Kevin.
Yeah? Okay.
That's a ballsy statement.
Like the 72 Dolphins. Perfect season.
Very nice. That's good. I like
Wow.
that little tidbit. Yeah, that was good.
Look
That's very
at
impressive.
you. Who are you?
I don't know if 72 is the right year.
It is.
Wow.
Did a great job.
Accidentally right.
Nice. Good for
Dang.
you. Good for you. All right, what do you think about this, Virginia? The Philadelphia Eagles are in this year's Super Bowl, so is this fact or fiction? Philadelphia is the only city that's had 4 major sports teams in a championship game in the same year. Fact or fiction?
That's a fact.
You're going to go fact on that? Bird disagrees with you. And guess what? He would be wrong.
Oh.
Fumble.
You got it right. Yeah, his win streak ended quick.
Yeah, you got the Penguins, you got the 76ers, you got the Eagles, and then you got the
Phillies. Come
chicken-
on. The Phillies.
the cheesesteaks.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Phillies need to change their team name to the Cheesesteaks.
Dude, I would cheer for the cheesesteaks in any competition.
Chance to redeem yourself, Jay Bird, and I'm going to let you lean on your baseball knowledge to do it. Tell me the year that this happened, and it's because the Philadelphia Phillies won the title that year. That would be the same year that the Phillies were in the World Series.
1980.
Look at that. Bird has completely redeemed himself. Are you just impressed, Virginia? Are you
So
turned
impressed.
on with his
Oh my
sports
God.
knowledge?
He's such a man.
He just dropped the year.
No wonder he's not single anymore.
Yeah.
Flexing like that.
You're right. Yeah.
Panty dropper.
Yeah, Phillies in the World Series, Eagles in the Super Bowl, 76ers in the NBA Finals, and the Flyers in the Stanley Cup Finals. But it was only the Phillies who actually won the title that year. So nice job,
A
Bird.
good series, too. Pete Rose. Never mind. You don't forget. Virginia doesn't care.
I'm already tuned out.
Okay, what do you think about this, Jay Bird? With the Super Bowl that happened in 2020, Miami broke the record for hosting the most Super Bowls. Is that fact or fiction?
That is a fact.
That is a fact, yes. It was Miami's 11th. And it's not going to last long because New Orleans catches back up this year with the Super Bowl. It'll be tied once again.
They are turning it out in New Orleans. As soon as you get off your plane right now at the brand new New Orleans airport, which is so sweet, they are throwing parties. There's bands, there's dancers, it is fanfare. As soon as you step off your plane, New Orleans is turned out right now.
Can you imagine having that kind of energy every time you walked into a room? That kind of excitement?
I couldn't believe it. They changed the logo of the airport. It's got a plane into a fleur-de-lis. It looks so good. That airport is turning out.
They're talking about the security measures. Over 100,000 people are going to be dropping into New Orleans. And you remember from New Year's Eve, it wasn't secure then. They say that it's radically different. Would you feel safe this weekend in New Orleans, Virginia?
I would, because I've seen what they're doing. They actually are doing random bag checks. Just, you're walking down the street with a bag. They're like, hey, let me see what's in your bag. Like, they are just stopping people, and they have huge barricades now that are rooted into the ground. Like, it's a whole nother level. They've brought in reserves, the National Guard.
Okay.
It is a safer city right now. Absolutely.
Well, on Sunday, Kendrick Lamar is going to be appearing for his second time in a Super Bowl halftime show. This time he's the headliner. Remember, he was with all the rap artists that happened a couple years ago and they did the old school stuff?
That's right.
I love that because they did the wrestling technique where you don't know who's coming down the aisle to jump in the ring. And I love a surprise collaboration.
Yep.
But it seems like they always tease you, breadcrumbing it, if you will.
I love
and then they never come
breadcrumbing.
through. I think that's the only time they've really kind of came through with a lot of
That you
different
didn't
surprises.
know.
Yes.
That you didn't know. Yeah, I'm trying to remember back to all the Super Bowl halftime shows. And you may be right. So what do you think? With the second appearance, he is going to be holding the record for the most appearances at Super Bowl halftime shows. Virginia, is that fact or fiction?
That's fiction.
Oh, you're saying that's fiction.
Yeah.
You're right. That record is still held by Up With People.
What?
Yeah.
the singing choral group.
Yeah, Up With People.
I know Up With People.
Yeah.
They do a lot of Mardi Gras stuff.
Yeah, right.
They're always on Mardi Gras floats, and their leader is the most crazy ass man you ever met.
Yeah.
Up With People.
Right. Back in the day, they didn't know what to do with Super Bowl halftime shows. If you go back, they performed in 4 of them.
Okay.
In 1976, 1980, 82, and 86, before the Super Bowl and the NFL was the behemoth that it is today, they just didn't even know what to do with it.
You see Up With People every Mardi Gras. They are still on floats. They are still dancing. They are still singing.
Yeah.
They bring it.
So he's still got to do 2 more appearances just to tie Up With People.
I love it.
Some people were arguing yesterday on social media that New Kids on the Block was the first modern artist to play a Super Bowl halftime show in 1991.
I was just going to ask that question. What was the final thing that made the halftime show a thing?
I think that's when it spun, 1991, and they said, wait a
Wait
minute.
a minute. We can make this bigger and better.
Well, and then they started saying, too, the artists, the exposure that you get. Because, in the 90s, it was growing in the 80s. I remember when I was a little kid, the Super Bowl was a big thing. But every year it's just grown to astronomical levels. And that's why, these Super Bowl performers don't get paid. It's like, do you know how much money you're making in just the exposure to give you 12 minutes when a 30-second commercial costs $8 million?
Yeah. You're right. It is major exposure and awesomeness for your career.
I mean, that's a pretty crazy little number if you throw it out there and you say, well, I'm going to need to get paid. The value basically would be $192 million of exposure these artists are getting on stage.
It does give you a ton. They're talking about the artist for 2 weeks of just nonstop talk. It's basically 2 weeks of a commercial for your music.
It is, absolutely. Kendrick Lamar, then 5 Grammy Awards. He's doing all kinds of interviews. He's all over the place. It's a good time to be Kendrick Lamar. Jaber, what about this? Fact or fiction? The Florida Marching Band, or any Florida marching band from any university, has never performed a Super Bowl national anthem or halftime show.
That is not true. Tallahassee Community College back in 1982.
Okay.
Am I close?
Are you close? You're not too bad, actually.
Okay. Get it, Bird.
Wrong year, wrong school, right city. Tallahassee's where you
FSU.
want to go. Florida State has been asked. Florida A&M.
Ah.
Have you ever seen their marching band?
Yes.
The Marching Rattlers, I believe. Oh my goodness.
Next level.
It is next level. Have you ever seen them, Virginia?
Yes.
They dance and they cut loose.
That would happen back in high school. My Palm Beach Gardens band back when I was in high school, it was fine. You'd play other schools, and some schools would have a dance routine.
Yeah.
They would play cool hip hop songs. It was blew us out the water.
And every band member is stepping on the beat and like in the dance moves. I love that.
It's that's how you make your band look cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love the HBCUs. They do great stuff with their bands. Virginia, what do you think about this fact or fiction? More toilets were flushed in the U.S. during the Super Bowl halftime show last year than any other time in history.
I'm going to say fiction.
Gonna go fiction on that? Yeah, that is fiction.
Could you even get that stat?
You probably could. The water treatment plant in Fort Lauderdale does prepare for more usage, but they say the Super Bowl halftime show doesn't surpass a normal weekend night at 11 p.m.
Good, because that was kind of a gross stat.
Weekend night, 11 p. That's the high pooping time.
In Fort Lauderdale, I'm guessing there's a lot of barf, too.
Yeah.
It's 11 p.m. It's Saturday night, and it's in Fort Lauderdale.
Protein is protein.
Because you're actually probably barfing more than anything else because you probably starved yourself all day to look cute in your outfit.
And not affect your buzz.
Right. So you got nothing in the pipes. You just got to barf up all that booze you've been drinking. Okay, Jaber, what do you think about this? Only 4 teams in the NFL have never been to the Super Bowl. What do you think?
I know one that hasn't, unfortunately.
Who?
The Bills.
The Bills have been there.
Oh, they've been there.
They've been there 4 times.
They haven't won.
They haven't won.
Yeah,
Gee,
this
that's
has never been.
Every time I hear the Bills story,
It's sadder and sadder.
Really?
Every time. I know. And they were so damn close.
man, that is rough.
Now you know why my husband cries at night.
Yeah, no, I get it.
That and being married to me.
It is. All right, what do you think? Fact or fiction on that one?
That's a fact. There's some teams that just can't get to the dance, man.
They're right. There is. Yeah. You've got the Detroit Lions.
Oh, I love the Lions.
Which just you thought this year was going to be it, and it would have been so close.
Yes.
I would be so much more pumped for the Super Bowl if it were the Lions against the Chiefs. And what a better storyline.
Yes.
Because you would have the team that's never done it against the team that always does it. So
Amen.
it's either a first-timer or it's a three-peater. That's a much better storyline. So if the NFL really were rigging the storylines, they would have been better served to have the Lions in there.
Would that make better ratings if the Lions were in there?
I think so because I
Yes.
think you have a better narrative. People are like, okay, Philly, but Philly's not a city that doesn't ever not win.
Yeah, they're in the
win
hunt.
a lot.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, and then they're rude about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a story where they threw batteries at Santa Claus during a game.
Who hit Santa in the head with batteries?
Phillies fans?
Damn, Philly.
That's why I think it's rare that people are rooting for a Philly team. The Houston Texans have never been, Cleveland Browns, and then our Jacksonville Jaguars. Never been. So there
They're
you go.
new, right? The Jaguars are newer.
Yeah, they've only been around 30 years.
I know. It's funny what we think new is these days.
They're new to me.
This is how we do. It's the KBJ Show.